of courageous conversations. She's going to be talking to us about her book. I'm going to tell you a little bit about her. She's a devoted teacher and children's life coach. She's dedicated her career to nurturing the emotional growth and confidence of young minds. But her most profound lessons in courage and strength came through her own battle with cancer. And that is what led to her book, When Mummy Had Cancer. And that's what she's going to talk about now. Thank you.
Priyanka, welcome, and thank you very much. Are we having Monica up as well? And
Sorry, Monica. I've not got... Pardon?
And
Oh, I'm sorry. I've not got the... Monica didn't tell me she was going to be in this. Come on, Monica. You're coming back onto the stage. And who else is coming? I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry.
Gupta.
That's entirely my fault. Thank you very much. Debasmita illustrates and writes books for children as the illustrator and young adults. And initially, she was self-taught. She recently completed a master's in children's book illustrations and graphic novels. And she's also a screenwriter and producer. Sorry, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Okay, so Priyanka, let's start with you and your book. Talk us through the journey of sharing your courageous story.
Thanks. So back in 2022, when I was diagnosed, went to see the oncologist, and he told me my diagnosis. I was later taken to a side room with a Macmillan nurse, and my first question was, my children, what's going to happen? And we spoke about telling them, we just didn't know how to. So they gave us a book to read to them and guide them through the process. When we read the book to both of them, there wasn't anything about the emotions that goes along with the journey. And that's what we really struggled with. They understood the process, or my eldest did. But we couldn't talk to her about her feelings and how to express them. And everywhere I went, all the Macmillan nurses, that was the first question. Where can I get help? And there was no help. It was either for the cancer patient or the partner, nothing for the young children. And I had a few people say to me, why don't you write a story? So as I went through all the treatment, I started writing.
And obviously your journey would have been hugely personal to you. And with the storytelling process, you would have had to filter through perhaps your own emotions to think about how your children would have possibly felt, to then be able to relay that for other children and parents who are going through the same thing. So talk us through the layers of that and how you have portrayed that for children.
So along the journey, it was the questions that we were asking our children. How are you feeling? Do you want to talk about it? Who would you talk to? So that's how it came about. And being an early years teacher, it sort of comes to you how to talk to young children. So that all played a part of it.
You were given editorial guidance, weren't you, by Alan Durant, who's a children's author. How important was it having that editorial guidance?
It was really important because when I submitted my manuscript, I didn't realise that it wasn't completely finished. But I think a part of me, when I did submit it, it was sort of having to relive the whole journey. So having him as a guidance was invaluable.
Because you have been through that journey, you then had to write about it for a particular audience. How did you relive in some way that journey, or find the strength within you to want to share your story to help others?
Because I was writing as I was going through the journey, it didn't feel that raw. It was only when I had to finish the book and go back to it, that's when it all came flooding back. But I felt that it was really important because I couldn't be the only one going through this, or my family weren't the only ones going through this. I'm sure there's lots of others. And I felt it was important that I had to do this.
How did your children feel when they read it?
I mean, I think you might have heard them with my name being called out. I think they're really proud. I think their faces says it all.
Lovely. And Devasmita, you illustrated the book.
That's right.
So talk us through the illustration process, because for such a personal journey, how do you then place illustration in an authentic way for somebody else's story?
Thank you so much for that question. I always say picture book is a collaboration between two authors. One writes with words, the other one writes with visuals. And for the one who is writing it with visuals, it's very important to understand the meaning of the words that the other person is trying to convey, the emotions, the things in between, and also to relate to it. There is also a part of me in the illustrations because, and I was sharing this with Priyanka this evening, that my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, she had breast cancer and she fought with it for 14 years. I always saw her as my role model in life. So when I was approached by Monica and Ekta with this story, it was an opportunity for me to also relive those moments and visualize it in a way which gives hope, empowerment, and love. So throughout the story, through the visuals, you will see there is not a single moment of sadness or depression or giving up. There is always looking forward, looking to the brighter sides of the story. And that's how I visualized it.
And without moving too far away from the story, I am interested in the fact that you're a diverse woman who is an illustrator. So could you tell us briefly, I mean, how easy was that for you to get into, and what's that journey been like for you?
Not very easy. I started from a point when I actually didn't go to an art college in the beginning when I started as an illustrator. But I definitely give credit to people who made me an illustrator today. I started my journey in India. I used to live in Delhi and I used to work with the United Nations. And I came across a person called Miss Krita Dharmarajan. She used to run a bookstore called book publishing house called Katha Books. She brought me into this industry. She had the faith in me and she asked me to illustrate one book. And that changed the course of my life. That made me think that this is where I belong. This is the world I want to explore. And I gave up my job. It took me some time. And then I moved to Singapore. That's where I first started working towards illustrations. And I started working with publishers in Singapore, in India, in the UK, in the US. The journey has never been easy, but I always wanted to do this. And I was never in a mind to give it up. And I'm still trying to do it as, in the best way possible. I have a lot to learn. There is a lot of road ahead of me, but I'm just trying.
That's amazing. Thanks for sharing. And I think you've touched there on a really key point, that sometimes it just takes one person to support you, which encourages you to take the path that you find is your purpose and your passion. And that brings me to Monica, because you have supported Priyanka's book. Tell us why the All Through Me Literary Festival is supporting Priyanka's book and what it means to you.
Well, there are several reasons why we wanted Priyanka's book to be the feature book of the AIM Literary Festival. Firstly, our mission is to bring out the bold and fresh perspectives. So Priyanka's book was written from a different perspective, from a perspective of a child, which was very unique. Generally, it's really hard to see a picture book which is written from a child's perspective. And what happens, when and the other thing was like we know that when some adversity strikes in a family, what happens? We try to exclude children, whereas children are like most impacted when their parents they are diagnosed with such illness, they are impacted, but we try to exclude them. And I don't know, perhaps because we think that we want to overprotect our children, or perhaps we don't know how to talk to our children, how to open up such conversations. So we wanted to bring that book out because we wanted to give this tool to every family who's going through this, and they should have this tool to talk to their children openly and without having any apprehensions. And the most important thing, why did we feature this book? Because families who are going through severe problems, they also are part of our society we live in. So why are we not including them? Why those families are not represented through picture books, or why children who are dealing with this problem in the society, why can't they see themselves in the picture books? We want to show that representation through this book, and we are really glad that Priyanka approached us and we could do this for her.
Thanks, Monica. And there you've talked about why you are supporting Priyanka. Priyanka, why did you come to the All Through Me Literary Festival, and what do you want people to take from your book?
Like how Monica said, children shouldn't be excluded. They're part of the family, and you need to speak to them. You need to be honest and transparent. When I wrote the book, I had the file sitting on my desktop. I didn't actually know what to do with it. And I was on socials, and they came across, and I thought, what's the worst that can happen? And I approached them. And as they say, rest is history.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Round of applause for our panel.